Okay, so in today's class, we're going to talk about putting our research, so the research from our research helpers, into an essay plan. So this is a detailed essay plan. So we've gone through, we're up to the third part of the process. So the first one is planning your plan. The second is completing your research. And the third is creating a detailed essay plan. Thank you very much to those of you that have handed in your research helpers. I have given individual feedback to everyone to really try and focus and develop your research skills, making sure that you're looking really deep into your particular topic. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to review planning your plan. So the first plan that we actually completed before you did your research, so you want to have that out and ready to go. So I will ask you if you can get your planning your plan document out in front of you, so I can explain this in a bit further detail. Okay, so you can see here, this I gave everybody some feedback on. So this is when you did your brainstorm about how you want your essay to look. And then you worked on the sequence, so what would come first, second, third, and so forth. Okay, so you've said in each section what you'd actually like to talk about. So what you want to do is compare your planning your plan to your research helper and ask these questions. Have I found evidence to prove my points? So check your research helper and your plan and compare them. So for each of the points that you wanted to talk about in your essay, have you completed some research to get evidence for those? Have new ideas or directions appeared? So maybe you've decided that once you've done your research, you shouldn't include this part or that part. For instance, some of you talked about health in terms of whatever the national sport was. And while that's important, it's not necessarily why something is popular. So maybe you've decided, I'm not going to include that, but I want to include something else. So this original plan is not set in stone. Once you've completed your research, you might decide that you need to go in a different direction. So should you remove or add from your original idea? So is there anything that you'd like to take out or anything that you'd like to include? Then you're going to decide on points which you will conclude. So again, we're just comparing, having a look at planning your plan, have a look at your research helper. What am I going to include? What am I going to discard or get rid of? And most importantly, do I have research-based evidence for each of my points? Remember, this is a research essay, so it must be based on evidence. That means articles that you have found on the internet. Is not about your opinion, what teacher says, what mum and dad say. It is about the articles that you have completed your research on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to review our research in detail. So I'd suggest getting a highlighter or a different coloured pen. The first thing you want to do is highlight the points you feel are the strongest to support your essay. So highlight the information from your research that you think is really, really important. Cross out points that you feel are not needed. For instance, if you go on a little bit too much about health, or you talk about the diet of a dolphin that might not be overly relevant, or if you have information about whales when your essay is about dolphins. So cross out the points that you think are not related or not needed in your essay. So next, having a look at your research helper and your planning your plan document, I want you to write a number 1 if it's for the first paragraph, a number 2 if it's for the second paragraph. And so we're starting to put things in the right order. So as you can see down here, if it's about history of ping pong, that is number 1 because it will be the first paragraph, okay? So number 1 is usually history or context. So even if it's down the bottom in your research helper, you're going to highlight that and write a number 1 next to it, just so that you can double check that. Let's look at how we actually fill out the plan. So you all should have your planning document in front of you, and I will also make that available to you through WeChat so that you can type it instead of handwriting it. It means that you can move it around a little bit better. But you should have the document in front of you. If not, please ask your teacher to make sure that you've got a copy of that. Now we're going to go through this document step by step, so please concentrate, listen very hard to this section. People in 12A have told me that they have discovered with teacher Fiona, it's better to do it right the first time because it saves them a lot of work, okay? So the first part, you can see it says question in your own words. So all you need to do is just rewrite the question in your own words. You did this in the planning your plan document, so you can actually copy that over. So just writing the question nice and simply. The reason we do it is so that you can keep flicking your eyes back up to the question to make sure that when you are planning the rest of the essay, that you're continuing to be focused on the topic. Some of you, when you're talking about the national sport, are comparing different sports, which is not what the essay is about. So having the question straight in front of you is a great way for you to be able to keep focused and make sure the research and your essay, it remains on topic. Where it says thesis statement, this means what is the point of your essay? For here is it, so there's a couple of examples. So it's really about what you want the person, once they've read your essay, to think or know. For instance, dolphins are better off in the wild. We should shut down SeaWorld. That's an example. You might agree or disagree. These are just examples. Please do not copy them. You need to write your own. The next one is ping pong is not only a popular sport in China, but is also politically important. Okay, so these are examples of a thesis statement. So just telling us what the point of your essay is. Next, let's look at the body. So you can see that there's body 1, body 2. I think I've given you body 1, body 2, and body 3. So it means that you might have 3 paragraphs. You may have more than 3 paragraphs, but I'd suggest that you have a minimum of 2. So body 1 actually means paragraph. So when it says body or body 1, that means that's your paragraph. Purpose means to decide what the main point for this paragraph would be. So for every paragraph, it's really important to decide what the reason is for this paragraph. What is the one main idea you're going to be talking about? This is so that you've got a really well-structured essay. So it makes sense in the sequence it comes through. For instance, paragraph 1, the purpose might be to talk about the history or context. Paragraph 2 might be dolphins in the wild, or ping pong USA and China. So you have one main purpose, and that's what that whole paragraph is going to be, all right? So that one paragraph, one main idea. And then we look at the topic sentence. So the topic sentence is an introduction sentence for your paragraph. So this is going to tell the reader what it's actually about, okay? So the topic sentence is an introduction sentence for the paragraph. For instance, the history of ping pong is fascinating and goes back to 1800s in England. Now I know that my paragraph is going to be about history, and it's going to explain to me the history of ping pong, okay? So it just introduces what that paragraph is going to be about. Next, you can see that we have supporting detail. Now, this is very important because I've got a couple of different supporting details because you want to get your evidence in the right order as well. So the order of the essay paragraphs is important, but the order of the information inside the paragraph is also important. So what we're doing here is we're deciding what do I want to talk about first and second and third. So supporting detail is put the information here from your research helper, okay? So jump back to your research helper and find the evidence as we did back here. So you can see history of ping pong was number 1. Okay, so I now know that I need to put it in my supporting detail. So I'm getting the information from my research helper and putting it into my detailed plan. Information from research helper into detailed plan. For instance, I might do history equal 1900s, human interested in animal entertainment. So this might be the first supporting detail I have for my dolphin essay. Or for my sport essay, I might have chosen ping pong. Ping pong invented in England 1900s / for rich people. Again, this would fall into my first supporting detail. This information has come from my research. So let's look at how to organize the essay. So the introduction, hook, and thesis statement, a suggestion of what the essay is about. We're going to talk about introductions in greater detail later on this week, so don't worry too much about your introduction. We're going to work on that. Your first paragraph is usually a background or a brief history of the topic, and also any things that need to be defined. So if you're doing a scientific essay and have a word like hypoxia in it, you need to define those words here. Paragraph 2 will be about further information. So paragraph 2 for the dolphins, you might talk about dolphin life in SeaWorld or dolphin life in the wild. While those doing sport might want to talk, now that you've established the context, the next part is actually describing the sport. So here you might explain how you play the sport. Paragraph 3 would then be dolphins in the wild or dolphins in SeaWorld, depending what you did in the first paragraph. And for sport, here you're going to talk about why it's actually popular in China. And then you might have a paragraph 4 in particular, comparing and contrasting for the dolphin essay. Okay, so what you're going to do, just to summarize, you can see here, this is exactly what you have in front of you. Here is a copy of my plan in my plan, and I'm going to have my research helper in as well. So just a quick overview of what we've already discussed is decide on how to organize your points. What should come first, second, and third? What is the point of each paragraph? What main idea? One paragraph, 1 point. And look at your plan. Is there anything that you should move around? Do you think maybe body 2 should be body 3 or body 3 should be body 4? Here is an example of a great detailed planner. Okay, so this is actually done level 2, so it's not level 3, it's level 2. This is actually done, I think, by Shirley, who is performing really, really well with essay writing. So it's great to see someone that you know doing some excellent work. So simple expression of the question. So she's doing her essay on hypoxia in level 2, and she's just written, what is hypoxia and is it a problem in China? So she's simplified the original question and she can keep focused on that. Strong thesis statement. So know the point of the author. Now, in level 2, you learn a lot more about thesis statements, so you don't have to make it this big or this detailed. All I want to do is you to write in third person what the purpose of your essay is. You'll note that she's got limited full sentences. Okay, you can see here it's a limited full sentences. She's done this because she's using her note-taking skills and making notes from her research helper across to her planner. This means that you will not plagiarize. So it's a great way to ensure that you do not plagiarize and all of the work is your own. She has a clear main point for each paragraph. So her purpose is hypoxia was discovered in 1922 and it's increased environmental issues. So she's going to talk about some history, but she's going to talk about what the impact has been. So clear main point for each paragraph. Then she's done relevant research-based supporting detail. So she's used the detail, the information that she got from her research helper, and decided what she's going to talk about first and second and so forth, and written those details. And you see how there's quite a lot of detail. This is really important because it makes it so much easier to write an excellent essay if you've got a really detailed plan, okay? And there's a logical order of the paragraph, so it actually makes sense. She starts off with the history of hypoxia and then moves into the impact of hypoxia, and then her final paragraph will be on how we can stop hypoxia. Hypoxia, by the way, means not having oxygen in the water, so it can cause lots and lots of problems for the environment. Don't worry about your introduction and conclusion yet. I have separate lessons planned for each of these. So we're going to have separate classes on intro and conclusion. So I want to focus on getting the plan right first. Please do not start working on your essay yet. You need to do a good detailed plan. Then we're going to work on the body, and then we're going to finish off with writing excellent intros and conclusions. As I said, I want to take you step by step through this process so that you become excellent researchers and essay writers. This is something that you're going to use in level 2 and level 3, but also something that you're going to use in university, and it's a great skill to have in life in general. So what you're going to be doing for the rest of today is review planning your plan. Highlight the information from your research helper that you will use. Number the information from your research helper in order that you'll use it. Okay, so number 1 will be paragraph num, number 2 will be paragraph 2. With planning your plan and the research helper, start filling out your detailed plan. Send this to Fiona once you've completed it, and as usual, I will give you some individual detailed feedback to really make sure that you're doing an excellent plan. A perfect plan equals a perfect essay. As I said to you, in level 3, we've actually had someone got 100% in their essay. So it is definitely possible, and it's certainly possible for level 1 as well. As I said, don't worry about the intro or the conclusion just yet. Finally, when is it due? The first draft of the plan is due on the 12th of June. Please WeChat me if you need any clarification on anything. Also, if you wish to just do the first section of your plan and not complete the whole thing, just do the first section and send that to me to make sure that you've got it right, that's absolutely fine. So if you're still a bit confused after we've gone through this, and I will post this onto the WeChat group so you can access it, but if you're not 100% sure, just do the first part, send it to me. I can say, yeah, that's great, keep going. Or I can say, no, actually, if you do this and this, that will be better. And then you can continue on with the rest of the document. So level 1, I expect it to be well thought out, well organized, and expect it to be research based. Okay, so get those research planners out. Research helper, that's why it's so very, very important. That's all for today's class. As usual, I'm online if you have any questions or need any assistance. Also, feel free to ask your classmates. Some of your classmates are already doing really great jobs at doing their research. So if you are struggling a bit, you should be helping one another as well. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next class.